Happy Sunday, everyone. It is August 4th, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, rope drop. This is going to be part of a bigger series, and I think the best way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to break it down by land. So each episode I do about rope drop, I'm going to just talk about one individual land. If I break down every single ride, it's going to go way too long, and there's so many rides that you don't want to rope drop anyway, so I can just kind of just say don't do it rather than just making it its own episode. So today, to start off, we're going to actually start with Toontown. I think that's a fun place to start. It's not one of my most recommended rope drop lands, but I think I can go into detail, and I've rope drop a couple of these and kind of explain what to do, what not to do. So let's just jump right on into it. Toontown's got 3 rides. The biggest one being Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. In my opinion, that's the only one worth rope dropping. The other 2, the Gadget Coaster and Roger Rabbit, you don't need to rope drop those, and I'll explain later on in the video. Let's go right into Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway to start. I would probably put this top 10 best rope drops. Definitely not top 5. Probably, sitting around that 8, 9, 10 area. How you would do it pretty much is I would recommend getting to the park at about 7 o'clock and lining up around, the Tomorrowland area. When the rope drops, you're going to, quickly move towards the Matterhorn, and past that, there's not going to be very many people actually making this trek. It's not a very popular rope drop in my opinion. The few times that I have done it, I've had, a small number of people around me. You'll definitely be in the first theater, and you're definitely going to be in one of the first trains out for sure. Um, it's an easy one to get to, but here's my thing with it is the first hour, even on certain days, first hour and a half, Toontown's pretty quiet. You can kind of roll into Toontown if it's like one of your top things that you really want to get done. You can roll in there about 9 o'clock and still see walk-ons, the very worst 15-minute waits. Sure, you're gonna have your really really busy days around the holidays and stuff like that. That's maybe not as much the case, but over 300 days of the year, you're probably going to be looking along the lines of Toontown's not going to get very crowded for that first 90 minutes. So I wouldn't highly recommend doing it, but if you really want to start with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I would then say go to Roger Rabbit, pick that up, and then do the Gadget Coaster as well. One of the perks of getting into Toontown a little bit earlier though as well is if you're really into seeing characters, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, exploring their houses, those do get crazy during the middle of the day. Toontown does pick up quite a bit after about 11 o'clock, I would say. About 11 o'clock till about maybe about 5-ish. Toontown's at its peak. You're going to have pretty long lines, things sitting in those 45 to an hour. And it's not a very big area, so it can get pretty congested. A lot of kids, things like that. You can't bring your strollers into Toontown as well, so something to prep on that. You have to park it on the outside because there's just not a lot of way to move those things around in there. It's a pretty tight space. So that is one of the perks of getting into Toontown a little bit earlier. I always say as well, Toontown's also one of those ones that has a reverse rope drop. And what I mean by that is the fireworks launch off each night from Toontown at 9:30. Therefore, Toontown closes early and it reopens about 10:30 each night. So therefore, you can line up outside of Toontown at that time and then go right back in, and you can jump on all the rides. And that's a great time to pick it up. A lot of kids go home after fireworks. Toontown is pretty quiet for those last 90 minutes. So if you haven't picked it up early in the day, you won't be able to do meet and greets really with characters that much at that point. Most of them, Mickey Mouse sometimes is hanging out, but for the most part, all the other characters aren't out past that time. Um, but that's also a good time to catch it as well. So rope drop for Toontown, Mickey and Minnie overall. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway would be the only one I would suggest. Wouldn't be near the top of my list though. The rest of them you can kind of pick up early morning, and wouldn't really recommend doing rope drop Roger Rabbit or Gadget Coaster.